Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're out here on this Connecticut lake that we've been fishing, for the last week and a half, having a blast out here, and primarily doing quite a bit of scoping with, jig head minnow. That seems to be what they're eating. There's not a whole lot of other things that I've had great success with, including urchin style baits. This is the most popular and hottest tactic on the tournament trail, but just in fishing in general, bass fishing in general, this thing is killing it. Whether you're using live scope or just going old school and blind casting, it seems to be something that is winning just about everything. There's been a couple tournaments recently, like within the last couple weeks, that it hasn't played as big of a role, but it's still a major player. So the biggest question is this fad, if you want to call it that? Not sure if that's an appropriate term for this bait category, but is it going to last? I've got some thoughts on that. So we're going to fish a little bit. We're not going to be fishing with this just because I haven't had any success on it and I actually want to catch fish. We're just going to kind of talk it through a little bit. We're going to be fishing this bank, just trying to scope out some new smallmouth areas. So anyways, the urchin bait trend really got hot this year. There was a lot of guys that figured it out early that probably have been, experimenting with that category of baits for the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when the baits actually came out. I think the fuzzy dice craze kind of came out first, and then the urchin style kind of came out after, but I have no idea. I don't know the chronological order of, how that bait was brought to market. But in any case, I at first, at the beginning of this year, super skeptical about it, like a lot of people. I mean, it's such an out there bait design. It's not something that seems like ultra natural in the ecosystems that we fish. You don't really see anything of that scale, of that size, in these ways. And so it just kind of seemed outlandish, when they first came out with it. And so anyways, I'm generally a late adopter to things, and that's something that I really want to change. And nowadays, I think it's more important than ever to be first to certain trends. But in any case, when it came out when I started really taking notice was the beginning of this year, and I had some friends tell me, hey, this is a deal, this is something that you really need to start working on. And I kind of just wrote it off. And then the Bassmaster Open at Sam Rayburn was one. And then pretty much every tournament, it was either the winning technique or a huge player in each tournament. So started to take real notice of it at that point, and so started playing around with it a little bit. Got a couple, quakies and some prickly pears. So once I started using it, I immediately started having some success. I started catching some fish. At first I was using it with live scope, just scoping out, suspended fish and things like that. And then you started to see some success from people that weren't fishing the bait with live scope, namely the Santee Cooper event on the Elite Series. That was an eye-opener, I think. And then Alex Davis winning on the MPFL, that was another eye-opener. Like, this is a real tool that you can use whether you're using lots of technology or very little technology. Then I started using it even more, and I've had great success with this category of baits. I think it is a spectacular, complement to something like a wacky rig, where you're fishing isolated cover, fishing around the spawn time, fishing under docks, it skips really well. Fishing around the bluegill spawn is a huge deal. All those different scenarios that we use, we've used other types of baits. Dang, I'm missing some opportunities here. It's hard to scope and talk at the same time. It really is. It's like playing the guitar. Singing and playing, at least I can't do it. Anyways, I can't play the guitar or really sing, so I guess that explains that. But anyways, so now that brings us to today. And you're starting to see a little drop off right now, but it might be just seasonal. You know, this is the post-spawn, you know, fish are moving deeper. I think that's what's going on more so than the fish getting used to it. But, you know, I've been talking with a lot of friends, and we've been debating, you know, whether or not this bait category has stay power, you know, within the sport. You know, is it going to be around in the next, you know, 10 or 15 years? Is it still going to be something that plays in tournaments? And my answer really is I don't know. But one of the key things that I think about when it comes to this technique is, like, right now we're fishing jighead minnow, right? The jighead minnow has slowed down quite a bit, you know, as far as like how it's working and all that. You know, it's gotten tougher to catch fish on a jighead minnow just because people have been using it, and probably overusing it, just because it's been another great big trend. But one of the things that the jighead minnow has going for it that the urchin style baits doesn't is that a jighead minnow looks like forage that they're feeding on all the time. It looks exactly like the bait fish in every single fishery. You can match, you know, the jighead minnow to, you know, whatever fishery you're fishing. You know, in this case, we're fishing in a lake that has alewife that these smallmouth are chasing. And so is something that you're always going to be able to trick them into eating. You know, it may just get really hard, but they're never going to stop eating these bait fish. So there's always the opportunity to trick them into eating a jighead minnow. I don't see that being the case for urchin style baits. I think that they are very abnormal looking for the ecosystem. Yes, there's an argument that essentially it's imitating it's kind of playing on that nostalgia effect, something that the fish have seen at some time in their lifetime, but it was, you know, phytoplankton or zooplankton that they were feeding on as little fry. You know, I've heard that from biologists, is that they think it's something that they've seen before, and whether or not they actually think it's that thing, or it's just something that deep down triggers them into feeding because it's something that they've seen before, I don't know. I don't know their awareness level. But I think that something that is so outlandish, you know, as far as the overall shape and profile of the bait, and it doesn't look like anything directly, there's a case to be said that it looks like a bluegill. You know, if you're just seeing the silhouette from above, you know, but it's not exactly like a bluegill. Like, there's plenty of bluegill imitations out there that just do not work the same. And so I think that this type of bait is very super susceptible to overfishing and overpressuring the fish, and to where they're going to shut down on it. I honestly think that could be the case. Whether it is the case or not, I don't know. And how long it would take for that to take place, I'm not sure. I think it's going to turn out to be a seasonal bait. I think that there's going to be certain times of the year, definitely the immediate pre-spawn, the spawn, and you know, maybe the immediate post-spawn when you got a bluegill spawn going on. I think that it's going to be around, but I think that it may be one of those bait categories that doesn't get a whole lot of love in a few years, just because it's been so overused and the fish have seen it, and it's something that they can pivot to something else, like, you know, go back to feeding on you know, shad or crawfish or something like that, because it's like, it's not, they know that it might not be exactly the forage that they're used to seeing. That's just my theory, is that the fact that it is so outlandish and so different kind of plays against it when it comes to the overpressure that we're seeing in the playing field. You know, everybody's throwing it, everybody's collecting them, everybody's paying a crazy premium for them right now while they're working. But now, if I was a betting man, which I really am not other than tournament fishing, I think overall, if you had a graph of the successfulness of the urchin style baits, I think over the next couple of years, you're still gonna see it skyrocketing. I think it's gonna start to plateau off, and then I think it's gonna start going down pretty sharp. And then for a while, people are just going to forget about it, you know, at least at the capacity that we're kind of seeing fish or people use it now. And then, you know, it starts to kind of tick up. I think it's going to have a similar, you know, trend to what we saw with the A-rig, maybe. It's not a direct comparison because the A-rig imitates things that the fish see all the time, small schools of bait fish. But I think it's going to be something that is going to be effective for many years to come. But it's definitely going to have a major lull, and I think that's going to happen within the next few years. So, anyways, guys, I want to see if I can catch. I'm not seeing anything right now on the graph. But in any case, I'm going to stop talking here so I can focus on this whole deal. Ooh, there's a couple big ones down deep. But anyways, guys, I want to hear, well, hold on before I close this out. Let's catch one. Let's catch one. There we go. Oh, yeah, baby. Not a big one. Not a big one. But I'm proud to have them. Anyways, guys, those are just my ramblings, my thoughts on the new urchin style baits. I want to hear about your perspective. What do you think is this bait category's future? What does it look like? You know, are we going to see it win tournaments for years to come consistently, or are we going to see a major drop off? I want to hear your perspective. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to get back to fishing. Always trust the process.